Hello my astrology friends, and welcome to your June 2025 astrological forecast. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at the planets, the aspects, what to expect from June 2025 from a collective perspective, as well as your individual sun signs, stroke, rising or ascendant signs. So without further ado, before we get into it, just to remind you that like the video and please become a subscriber. It all helps spread the word of astrology. Okay, let's get started. So this is going to be an introduction to the collective, what to expect and what are the main aspects and planetary cycles that are occurring in June 2025. Well, first of all, a lot of the planets are moving direct in the sky. The only planet that is moving backwards and going retrograde is Pluto. The rest of them are moving forward. And recently, over the last couple of months, we've had some major changes that have started to take place. Neptune going into Aries. Saturn also from last month, for the 25th, going into Aries as well. And this month we have a major planetary cycle because the planet Jupiter, the great benefactor in the sky, moves into Cancer, which is exalted in, so it's happy to be in that particular zodiac sign. And that happens around about the 9th and 10th of June that occurs. And this is the first time in nearly 12 years that this has happened. So over the last 12 months, Jupiter has been in Gemini, and quite frankly, that combination is not particularly good. Jupiter cannot function particularly well in Gemini. It scatters too much, and therefore we get lots of opportunities. Some of them are great, some of them are not so good, some are just full of hot air. This is what you get with the Jupiter in Gemini. For a lot of Geminis or those of you who've got a strong Geminian aspect to your natal charts, then you probably have seen over the last 12 months things move rather quickly, but also become a little bit frustrating because things haven't quite fallen into place. Now that Jupiter is going into the zodiac sign of Cancer, we begin to see that Jupiter can suddenly be able to move around and create stuff and create opportunities and all the good stuff that Jupiter is known for. And if you're a Cancerian or have Cancer strongly in your chart, like you're a Cancer rising or a Cancer moon, then you're going to benefit from the opportunity of Jupiter traveling in your sign for the next 12 months, nearly 12 months. So Jupiter is one of the major configurations that's taking place. Saturn is well into Aries, and so is Neptune. We have this kind of ongoing conjunction between the two, which is taking place here, which does not happen often at all, and they just sort of missed each other by 1 degree. But you know, there are fundamental, big, massive shifts and changes that are occurring in the collective at the moment, and the way that economics, policies, governments, the collective, the higher states of consciousness, but also, more importantly, how society is created and what we want for the future. So there's these huge concepts that are coming off between the utopian ideas of Neptune and the more structured sense of limitations and self-discipline of Saturn. You know, if Saturn and Neptune went out for a drink together, they wouldn't necessarily get along. It could be a little bit messy between those two. So we bring those two in. We kind of understand that this is going to be a little bit friction. And in zodiac sign of Aries, well, I mean, Aries is, you know, fiery, cardinal quality. You know, there's a few fireworks sort of brewing, and from a collective point of view, that's maybe what we're going to be feeling, this kind of sense of brewing, the sort of quiet before the storm aspect, particularly in the political arena, where you'll see these things sort of come up to the surface and look like they're good, and then find out they're not so good as we first thought. You know, smoke and mirrors are always a key aspect when dealing with Neptune. Mars, right, Mars is going to be in Leo till around about the sort of 17th, 18th. Now, listen, I'm this whole Mars and Leo thing is really significant because if we go back to September of last year, when Mars went into Cancer and basically went retrograde, and then went back into Leo, then went forward back into Cancer, and now is back in Leo, we can see that there's still a hangover from that particular period of September last year of the energy being stifled by the Mars retrograde. So when it moves into Virgo around about the 17th, 18th, we were sort of coming out of that shadow period, really, I would say, out of that Mars energy that's been sort of between two zodiac signs for the last 7-8 months. So that actually kind of helps the situation a lot. And what's also occurring is that Mars is going to be making a sextile aspect toward the end of the month with Jupiter, which increases Jupiter's potential of giving us these opportunities and really kind of acting and being assertive and direct in a positive way for the future. Also in June, we've got Venus on the 7th going into Taurus, its rulership. So all your Taurians or a heavy dose of Taurus in chart, you'll really enjoy that. Venus can actually bask in its own glory. It has been going through Aries over the last few months, and before that it was retrograde. It doesn't like Aries. Venus and Aries don't really get along. So it goes into Taurus, and there it will remain for the remainder of the month. Mercury's moving quickly. We go for the first week, it's in Gemini and its rulership. Then it goes into Cancer around about the 10th. And then at the end, on the 27th of June, it will move into Leo. So that's usually the case when Mercury is moving forward. It moves quickly through the signs, and therefore things move rapidly quickly. Uranus. Now, Uranus is interesting. Uranus is really at the end. It starts off at 28 degrees in Taurus at the beginning of the month. At the end of the month, it's at 29 degrees. Obviously, on July the 7th, the following month, it is going to go into Gemini for the first time in 84 years. So, you Taurians born 19th, 20th of May, that kind of period, you're being hit by Uranus at the moment. Everything's a bit crazy up in the air. It'll settle. Pluto, as I said, is going retrograde in Aquarius. So if you're early degree Aquarius or Leo, particularly, you might be finding this quite challenging. Or indeed early degrees in Taurus, 20th, 21st of Taurus, or early degrees, 24th, 25th of Scorpio, then you're going to be kind of affected by this particular energy. When we look at the moons here, we've got at the 11th a full moon at 20 degrees in Sagittarius. Not really kind of hitting too much there. And then on we've got a new moon on the 25th. That's at 4 degrees in Cancer. And that is lovely because that's making a conjunction with Jupiter. So that's really, really kind of nice. Neptune, finally, that's moving forward slowly in Aries. And, this is a nice month. I think we've had about 3 or 4 months which have been quite difficult. This is actually quite a nice month. I sort of feel like things settle down a little bit here. And the energy kind of moves in the sort of seemingly in the right direction. And everything sort of settles and everything goes into a little bit of a better vibe than it's been. And that's the thing about it. The planets are sort of behaving themselves, I'd like to say, But I can't emphasize the Jupiter enough. And I can't emphasize the fact that, these major planets that we've had changing signs, particularly Saturn and Neptune, and indeed, let's put in Pluto there, which I think we're all trying to sort of settle into that new planetary energy that we're getting now. And this is the best analogy I can use. It's like we've been in this particular room with these planets like Neptune in Pisces and Saturn in Pisces and Pluto in Capricorn for so long, and then suddenly we're in this new room collectively trying to organize where's the light switch for like Neptune in Aries, Saturn in Aries, and Pluto in Aquarius. And we've got in July Uranus going into Gemini. So we do have these kind of major sort of tectonic astrological plates, I might add, that are changing things, and all of us will feel a little bit different, and perhaps that we're on a sort of these new cycles that suddenly are occurring. And it's quite transformative, but also transient in nature and energy. And I think that's the thing that June is going to be very much. This is a transient month when it will feel like a lot is about to change and a lot is changing, but it's not in a really kind of dramatic way to perhaps what we've had over the last couple of months. It's in a way where, of acceptance, of going, I think actually, yeah, there is something that's going on here. And you know, individually, stuff that you may need to let go of in order to move things forward. And that's the energy that you're working with, and we are all working with for June 2025. Now, okay, let's get into the next stage, which is looking at your individual sun sign and rising sign. So the point of this is like, this is for your sun sign, but if you know your rising sign, check out your rising sign, check out friends and family as well, and what they're up to. They both apply. Okay, so let's get started with Aries. Aries sun sign, Aries rising. Okay, your ruler Mars. Significantly, it is changing around the 17th, 18th into Virgo, which is going to hit your 7th solar house, which is the house of service to others, health, mundane, the more mundane aspects of your daily existence, your working environment. So a lot of energy can go into that. Bearing in mind that actually Mars is in its joy in the 6th house, so actually can work. That's in the second half of the month. In the first half of the month, it's playtime still. Mars is in your 5th house. Maybe just be careful that you're not too hedonistic during this particular period. Mars can be a bit reckless. But to me, that's quite significant. Now, you guys are still getting used to the whole idea of Saturn being in your own sign and Neptune. So a lot of Arians are probably feeling a little bit discombobulated and unsure about what's actually happening here. On the one hand, you want to reach out and, you know, get your goals. On the other hand, you want to sort of escape into sort of a ball of like, what am I doing with my life? There's this combination that keeps hitting you that's making it kind of difficult. And I feel for a lot of you that's what you're working with. It's kind of like a push and a pull energy of trying to figure out what it is and how you're operating. Allow this planetary energy to sort of settle in with you. This is a big transformative time for you, and it's a time that it's not going to settle straight away. It's going to take time to get used to this energy. Bearing in mind that Neptune is going to be in your own zodiac sign for 14 years and Saturn for the next 2.5 years. Yes, it goes back into Pisces, so does Neptune briefly. But this is, over the summer, this is your chance to get used to this energy and go, okay, how am I going to work with this? How's it going to work with me? How's it going to work with my life? But for you, the Mars energy goes, right, I'm going to get practical. I'm going to focus on things that I need to, a necessity, and you know, get my ducks in order kind of a situation in my everyday life. That could be your working environment. That could be in the way you structure your health. There's a lot going on in that area for you. Okay, Taurus sun, Taurus rising. Right, from the 7th, Taurians, you've got Venus traveling in your own zodiac sign. Two ways to look at this. One is to really enjoy yourself and, indulge. That's one aspect. Two, to gain the positivity of the diplomacy and the harmony that's so important in dealing with that Venus energy. You can achieve a lot. However, a lot of you, well, all of you actually, have got Uranus still in your own sign. And, you know, looking at this, Venus travels towards, particularly at the end of the month, towards Uranus, which is kind of interesting on the social aspect. I just feel as a kind of an energy of slowing down, an energy of taking time out, an ability to see things from a different perspective. And I think that that's what you're going to be able to do and bring harmony and diplomacy to other people here as well. On the 17th, Mars goes into your own zodiac sign, which is your 5th house, which is the house of pleasure, social activities, self-expression, creativity. So you have that coming towards you. You've had Mars the last couple of months in your 4th house, which has kind of been focused on the home and the family, and sometimes maybe been a bit like a war zone. You've had to hold that space. You've got a little bit of a respite coming up here for a lot of you, which I think you'll really enjoy. The Jupiter factor is really kind of important on the 9th, because you know that really kind of changes your communication skills and able to communicate much more effectively over the next year, but also be able to be much more aware of what other people's needs are. And the learning process is going to be really kind of important for you. You may want to get back into education or retraining, or certainly thinking about that over the summer. But yeah, the Venus factor is where it's all going for you this month. Nice month for you. Okay, let's go to Geminis. Okay, so Geminis here, this is the last swan song of Jupiter in your own sign before on the 9th, 10th it moves into your 2nd solar house, which is basically the house of finances. Now, some astrologers might think that Jupiter's really nice in the 2nd house. I think it could be a little bit foolhardy. And, you know, the 2nd house is what we call a kind of nocturnal house. And Jupiter is a day planet and likes its day houses. Look, you know, it's easy for me to say, look, be frugal and everything else. You're not going to be frugal under Jupiter's energy. And you are a Gemini, of course, as well. But I do feel like there are opportunities to make money or to bring your self-value of yourself right up to the plate and actually work on your own development. How do I make money? How do I get the best out of myself? How do I value myself? What's going to work for me? These are all crucial questions that I think over the next year you're going to be asking. For the short term, in June, at the start of the month, you've got your Mercury, your ruler, in your own sign, but then it switches around about the 9th into Cancer. And Cancer, again, emphasizes the financial sector before on the 27th it goes into Leo, which is your 3rd house. So for me, I'm like, well, this is a busy month coming up for you. A really, really busy month. But I just kind of feel like that Jupiter kicking into the 2nd house is suddenly, the last year has been, right, I'm going to work on myself and stuff like that. Now it's all changed. It's like, right, okay, I've got to work on how I make money, how I want my business to go, how do I better myself? How do I get possessions around me? And how, as I said earlier, do I value myself? These questions are important because once you ask them, then you're going to come up with some answers, and they can be quite unique, and they can pull you into different directions, which Geminis like. They don't like to be bored. They like to be pulled in different directions. And this gives you an opportunity to do that. But what I would say is try not to do too much or spread yourself too thin. Okay, Cancer. Okay, Cancer, get ready, okay? And the reason I say get ready is because of the one thing that I have to say is on the 9th, 10th, Jupiter enters for the first time in 12 years your own zodiac sign. Huge impact on you, you know? Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. It loves to bask in Cancer. And, you know, this has been a bit of a challenging kind of year for you, couple of years. Hey, let's even go back to 2008 when Pluto went into Capricorn. It's been challenging. Jupiter gives you a little bit of a respite. Now, look back 12 years ago. Look back to 2013 period and what changes happened there. This could be to changes to do with the domestic situation, the home environment, family matters, property. But also it could be to do with career changes that have a benefit. You're going to be thinking with expansion. You've also got Mercury in the middle of the month in your own zodiac sign as well. So you've got that as well. This is a huge, huge month for you. It really kickstarts your year, and it makes you a lot more open-minded to new things and looking outward and being much more external. You know, Cancerians can get caught in the whole idea of being a bit challenged in times of going into oneself to get what the motivation is. And that's all great. But I feel like the Jupiter's pushing you out there to be braver, to be much more courageous. And June is the kickstart month, certainly from the 9th, when Jupiter goes into your own zodiac sign. it really kind of, helps move things forward. Also, let's talk about the fact that Venus is going to be in your 11th house, which is, the house of friendship and groups and societies. And so, connecting with others and connecting with people of similar ideas is also going to be important, June. It's a really, really nice month for you guys. And that Jupiter energy is just going to help you kind of move forward. If you're in a bit of a stuck or a bit of a dilemma, or don't know what's going to happen with a situation, maybe at work, then, from June the 9th onwards, things might start to turn a little bit in your favour if you feel like they haven't. They certainly begin to expand outwardly, or some other opportunities come knocking on your door. Okay, Leo. Right, Leos. Mars, till about the 17th, 18th, is still in your own zodiac sign. You've been dealing with that for quite some time, last 6 weeks. That goes into your second house, which is the financial house. When Mars goes into the second house, it always says, right, okay, money, making money. How do I make money? Right, working hard, concentrating, focus, being assertive, being direct. So that's important. We've got the Pluto in your opposing sign going retrograde in Aquarius. That's in the 7th house of relationships and partnerships and other people. So, there might be people retreating in your life, or going backwards or back into the shadows here, or sort of disappearing. That's okay. You don't need to deal with it. It's not your problem, to be honest. For a lot of people, I think that for a lot of Leos at the moment, they're still trying to get used to that energy of Pluto. But you've got Saturn and you've got Neptune in a fellow fire sign. I was nearly about to say air sign then. Fire sign like yourself in Aries. So that to me is helping you to kind of reach beyond yourself a little bit and think about the future and project the image of what your future you want it to be over this next year. The Cancerian energy of Jupiter in Cancer is also interesting because it's going into your 12th house, which is the house which traditionally Jupiter is its rulership, but that's the house of seclusion. There's the house of self-undoing, the house of spirituality, the house of where we recharge our batteries, the house of dreams and the unconscious and the subconscious, and the between two worlds. So Jupiter is expanding that particular area for you and increasing your potential of being able to access that side of your nature much more readily than it has been. Listen to your dreams, listen to your meditation practice, be aware of what you're taking in, be aware that you are clicking into something a bit bigger than you said that transcends beyond the ordinary. It's important because what Jupiter's doing is clearing out the clutter, ready for when it goes into your own zodiac sign next summer and goes into your first house, and then that's about expansion of the personality. But in order to do that, you need to clear out the clutter, and that's what this is the start of for you. So there's a lot kind of going on. I also sort of feel like with the Mars going around about the 17th, 18th, as I said before, out of your own side, it will just feel like you're getting less projection from other people that I feel that you've been experiencing, particularly since September of last year. Okay, who's next? Virgo. Virgo. Okay, Virgo's 17th, 18th, very important because you've got Mars entering into your own sign. How do I feel about Mars in Virgo? It's okay. It's okay. I mean, I call it kind of neutral in one way. But, you want to accomplish a lot. You might become much more critical of yourself. You might want to really focus on what you want to do much more. And I think that's going to be hugely important to you. Also, your ruler Mercury is going through, let me get this right into my head, your 10th house at the start. Then in the middle of the month, it goes to your 11th house, and then the end of the month, it goes into 12th house. So there's kind of a lot kind of energy of switching different roles this month that you're going to have to contend with. And the other sort of major kind of thing is that you are experiencing a level of really what I would say is understanding on a completely different level your own internal structures. And I think that the transit of Saturn coming away from your opposing sign, which happened on the 25th of May last month, has really kind of made quite a big impact on you, because suddenly you will feel lighter. Suddenly you feel a little bit sort of less worried about situations that you cannot control. And it might take you a bit of time to get used to that, is what I would say. Okay. Right, okay, let's go into the next sun side or rising side, which is Libra. Okay, Venus, your ruler, is in Taurus. Now, in traditional astrology, that Venus is in aversion or in quincunx to your own first house, which basically means you can't see it. So you can't benefit really from the transit of Venus in Taurus. You can kind of, it's one of those things you kind of think, yeah, things should be better, but they're not quite materializing. It's one of those. Okay, don't panic. You know, after that, it will go into Gemini next month in July. And that's an air sign like yourself, and therefore you can benefit out of the Venus factor. But it's a little bit like niggly. I should be having a better time than I am. That's how I feel. But you guys are still settling with the idea of Neptune and Saturn in your opposing side, in your 7th house. And this is a planetary energy that you're still trying to get used to. And that actually can be quite exhausting, because Neptune is, well, in modern astrology, it's the rule of Pisces, but I'm not so sure about that. I don't classify the outer planets of Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune as rulers necessarily of zodiac signs. I do the traditional rulerships. I think the collective, but you know, Neptune is, you know, Poseidon, and therefore it can feel like other people's emotions are getting in the way of your own development. As well as that, you've got Saturn, which is a bit of a taskmaster, but Saturn is happy in the 7th house. It's exalted in the 7th house. But so you kind of getting this kind of mixed messages from people. You're not sure how to actually deal with this or how to really kind of go along with this. And that's part of the issue. And that's part of what you're experiencing at the moment, which means it's a bit of a niggly month for Librans here, and will take a little time to settle. We're in for a better month in July, having said that. And it's not difficult by any stretch of imagination, but it does feel a little bit sort of unsure. Now, the other thing is that Jupiter, and this is the good bit for you Librans, Jupiter on the 9th, 10th will transit into your 10th house, which is the house of your career. So this is the start of a new 12-year cycle that's going to go on for this year to start that 12-year cycle to do with work matters and expansion in work, and education, and just general a sense of opportunities here. Jupiter likes to be in the 10th house. And so you can benefit of being seen by others far more, and other people wanting to hang out with you and be with you and listen to your ideas. Librans will love that. Okay, Scorpio, sun sign Scorpio rising. Listen, your traditional ruler is Mars. You know, that's been in your 10th house. There's been a lot over the last couple of months to do with your career that's been taking place. 17th, 18th, it moves into your 11th house, which is the house of friendships and stuff like that. So a lot of focus will come into that. Your modern ruler Pluto, that's basically retrograde at the moment in your 4th house. So there is a kind of a little bit of things to sort out regarding the home life and the family aspect here. But I would say that things are just looking a little bit lighter than they have been, and less energy focused on the career or your aspirations matters and stuff like that are coming out here. For a majority of Scorpios, this could be a very, very strong month. Now, particularly the fact that Jupiter is going into Cancer, a fellow water sign like yourself. Now, that is going to be good news for you. That goes into your 9th solar house, which is the house of travel, education, you know, higher knowledge, spirituality, stuff like that, publishing. So you're going to benefit for next year from that and those particular themes playing out, or that's where you'll get the expansion from. So if you're thinking about like, okay, I want to go back and retrain, this next year is going to be absolutely perfect for that. Okay, Sagittarius, sun sign or Sagittarius rising. First of all, on 11th, you have a full moon at 20 degrees in your own sign. Worth looking out at that time. You may feel a little bit sort of uneasy at that particular aspect, or feeling a little bit sort of unsure of yourself. I think the main thing is your ruler is changing zodiac signs, and this is going to be into your solar 8th house. It's been in your 7th house. So the 7th house is to do with relationships and partnerships and other people. So you've had to contend with that a lot for the last year. Now it's the 8th house. I call the 8th house the therapeutic house. It's where we dig deep to find out what really kind of makes us tick. It's also the house of other people's money and how other people invest in us, whether financially or energetically. The house of partners' money and stuff like that. So these are the areas that will look for expansion. And you may find that the next year you want to dig much more deep into your own motivations, or get interested in stuff that's therapeutic for yourself or for other people. There is an inner expansion that's occurring more than an outer expansion over this next year that's taking place. Because of Jupiter coming out of Gemini, your ruler, you may feel like you want to be a little bit more on your own this month, or take time out for yourself, go on long walks and be thinking about things. You're less inclined to want to help others at the moment or go forwards, particularly from the 9th of June. It's a bit more of a reflective time for those Saggies. Okay, let's move on to Capricorn Sun or Capricorn Rising. Saturn has moved in to your 4th house, as well as Neptune. So we're dealing with a lot of stuff to do with the home environment, the family, and the ancestral that's taking place here, and still trying to get used to that factor. Responsibility. Now, Capricorns like responsibility, but it depends how much we take on. If we take on too much, then it can sort of derail us. There's a little bit of that kind of energy that's got taking place here, so we've got to be kind of aware of that around you. The other sort of thing is Jupiter going into Cancer on the 9th, 10th. Now that is going to be there for a year, and that's in your 7th house, which is the house of relationships and partnerships with other people. So look out for expansion in those particular areas. Although you're dealing with a lot of home and family issues, you're also wanting to reach out to bring in new people towards you. And that's what Jupiter does. It kind of goes, right, okay, you want to bring this in, take this in, these people in, bring them in. They're going to teach you to look at things from a different perspective, and maybe considering like talking to you about travel or being on the move. Jupiter is a planet that likes to be on the move, and this is, I feel, is going to be really kind of important aspect for you. So you've got that that's coming through as well. So that's kind of significant. Capricorns are in for a bit of an easy ride. It's just getting used to that Saturn in the 4th house. Saturn in the 4th is a little bit on the tricky side. It's a little bit on the tricky side. You got to get used to it. Luckily, Saturn rules your sign, so that helps a lot, but it is a little bit tricky. Okay, Aquarius sun sign, Aquarius rising. Right. Okay, Aquarians. So, first of all, Jupiter, 9th, 10th, goes into your 6th house, the house of health, the house of service to others. Look at your working environment. It might be starting to expand your daily environment. Look at your health. You may be looking at that much more in an alternative way, or how you look after yourself. Being at service to others, you may be looking at things in a different perspective from that. You know, also your ruler, Saturn, has now gone into your 3rd house, your traditional ruler, and that 3rd house is all about communication, and it has a direct square aspect with the 6th house. So there is, am I communicating my needs for the greater good of others, is a question that needs to be asked. That's an ongoing question, I have to say, for Aquarians to sort of get used to. Pluto is retrograde in your own zodiac sign, about 3 degrees into your zodiac sign. So it's just for those early degrees, Aquarians, that are kind of feeling the plutonic energy, a shift that's occurring. And I sort of really kind of feel as well that the Uranus is still in your 4th house. July is the big one when things start to settle around the home environment for you. But this is an interesting, Jupiter energy really kind of gets things kind of moving. It's been in your 5th house. It's been in, you know, the house of kind of hobbies and interests and self-development. Now it goes into more mundane aspects of life, getting on with things, you know, being disciplined, while also maintaining a certain open-mindedness. Things in the working area that are changing for you and for the better. You just got to keep your eyes open to see when those changes are coming in and what they are. They're not going to sort of be neon lights. They're going to be quite subtle for you. Okay, Pisces sun, Pisces rising. Pisces are still in this mist of celebration that Saturn's gone out their own side. And Neptune as well. They're like, way. You know, and that is important. On the 17th, however, you've got Mars going into your opposing sign, which is in the relationship area of your life. So you're going to have to be quite diplomatic, because the need is to kind of get things going on the relationship side of things, or get things kind of moving, and you might be a little bit brusque and stuff like that with Mars there. Mars likes to get things done. If you know what you're doing, then it's fine. But if you don't know what you're doing, then it's going to all blow up in your face, unfortunately. But there is this kind of sense of, yes, okay, you know, Saturn's moved. But the problem is with that is that you've got so used to the last 2.5 years of having that Saturn flavour. You're kind of like a kite sort of flying up in the air and don't know where to land at the moment. Settle down with that. It's okay. It's okay. You just need to settle. Your traditional ruler Jupiter is going into Cancer, fellow water sign like yourself. This helps the situation hugely, because what it does is enter into your 5th house. The 5th house is all to do with our self-development, our creativity. Enjoyment is the house of merriment. So you can start to enjoy yourself, start to enjoy your social activities. New people come into your life. This is really good from a perspective of understanding other people and connecting with other people. So you've got that's really kind of nice, and you'll be stepping out your shadow a little bit and a bit more confident, and new people are going to come in and teach you new things, and you're going to feel like a little bit more confident about who you are and your own creativity. So there's a lot coming on. You just got to look out for that Mars in the second half of the month. That's the one that sort of could force you to a little bit trip up here. But I'm sure by the time I get to next month's video and I'm recording that, Pisces will be still celebrating the fact that Neptune and Saturn have left their own sign, because they do like to party, and when they party for a long, long time. Anyway, guys, I hope that's the information you need, and I hope thank you very much for watching. Like I said, become a subscriber, like the video. It really does help me in growing the channel, and I shall speak to you all very, very soon. Thank you very much.